Good morning, evening, or afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the One Up Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Milos Bukarica. With me is George Martinez, Adrian over there on camera again. And with us, we have a wonderful actress who's actually here from Texas, or used to live here in Texas. Now she's a big LA girl, which is pretty awesome. Alicia Underwood. Did I pronounce that right? I hope I did, right? Alicia. You told me it was Alicia, you asshole. He said Alicia. I was like, which one?
We have a friend that goes by, she spells her name the same way except with an E at the beginning. Alicia Underwood.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So blame him for that one, not me. Blame him. Anyways, Alicia, sorry. I also have a coworker at my job, same way, same thing. She also had her name messed up a lot of times. She also goes by Alicia, so that's why I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. So George, that's your fault. Anyways, hi, how are you? Welcome to the podcast. How you been? So how's LA treating you? How you been?
So far it's been great. We moved out here. It was my boyfriend and I, he's also an actor. We moved out here January 6th of 2020. Mm-hmm. And we hit the ground running, networking, meeting some amazing industry people, making great connections. He booked a Netflix show, a little episodic, with Hilary Swank in Away. He had a little guest star role on that. And then I had booked a SAG short film that went to the Cannes International Film Festival. And we were working and the pandemic happened and we didn't get work. We did not hear anything from the industry in probably 3 months. So it was a solid 3 months of nothing. So we were getting scared and we stuck it out. Things started picking back up a little bit in, I would say, June, July. And since then, we've just been sporadically taping auditions. We've bought amazing lights. Speaking of techie, like upgrade, we've upgraded our lights and our boom. And so we basically have like a little studio here now with all of our equipment.
Oh, that's super
Ready
cool.
for those self-tapes.
And yeah, like you said, right before we talked a little bit, right before the podcast, you said you haven't had an in-person audition in a while. It's all been just through Zoom. Is that correct? Something like that?
Yeah, I've had a few Zoom auditions, but mostly it's just been self-tape. Please tape yourself. And then the callbacks might be on Zoom with the producer. And I've done that. And then, nobody has ever invited me into their office. so which is, I kind of like it. I hate to say it, but I like it.
Oh, yeah, I was about to ask that. So you find this experience better than auditioning in person? I guess people have different opinions on how, different feelings on that. For you, so you'd say for you it's better for this way, right?
It is, because I get mad anxiety when I go to auditions. It is, you would think that I can't act when I go to an audition in person. Like everything goes out the window. I forget my lines. I'm shaky. But I'm like a really good actress. And then, I get on set and it's great, like phenomenal performance. But there's something about auditions that just mess with me and I'm trying to work on it as best I can. But it's just part of, some people have it, some people don't. Unfortunately, I do. So when I'm auditioning at home, I get to be in my own space. And no, I don't like to do 10 takes. But if I can get a good solid, like 3 or 4, then I feel a lot more confident in like, this is how I wanted to be viewed for the role. So I really do enjoy the self-tapes right now.
So you actually get to pre-record your audition instead of them like making you do it through like live Zoom chat or something?
Yeah, most of the time. I think I've only had 2 Zoom auditions, and I think those are actually pretty hard because you've got yourself who you can see, and then you've got your casting and maybe like a PA over here, and your reader comes out of nowhere, and you're trying not to focus on the action, like the movement. So you're like, where do I look? Do I just like look at this little dot? Or what if I look down at myself? Does that look stupid? I mean, it's a whole different learning curve trying to audition on Zoom. So
yeah, I think that became like a big thing everyone was talking about now that Zoom took off and everyone having to talk through a computer. There's even like software where they're like trying to make your eyes digitally move so it looks like you're talking to the camera.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, my acting coach, she just told me, make a little piece of red tape and put your marker right near your camera, and that's where you look the entire time. And maybe like you have your reader in the scene off to the left a little bit, but that's it. She said, "Dude, you just cover up your face with like a piece of paper." I was like, that's great advice. So I have done that. I did a showcase where I auditioned for 4 managers, and it was through Zoom. So instead of a live showcase, it was 4 of them on the panel, kind of like this. So I put a piece of paper over my screen, and I put a piece of red tape by my camera, and I just stared at that the whole time. It was so bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a little bit awkward for us right now. Like I said, just not having a face to look at. For me, at least, it's I'm a little used to it now. I guess the first interview we did like this, it really was kind of weird. You know,
I mean, you can kind of see it right now. He's talking to the microphone, but staring at the computer. There's nothing on the computer screen, and we have our cameras off to the side of us.
This
so
way.
I'm trying to look into a camera.
I mean, well, the thing is, for me, you got me as a profile. So
when you look, I can see you. Like, it looks like you're talking to me. Like, you can see me because I can see what you're like right now. I can see you
looking like straight down the lens.
Yeah.
For me, mine's on the right, so it's like if I turn this way, then the mic cuts out because it's not right in front of me. So I can't really. I guess if I go like hi.
Can't move.
I don't know if that's good though. Yeah. So I think I'll just keep staring this way. We gotta change up these camera angles, bro. I guess the reason we kind of have them this way is because we usually have 2 other people sitting on the other side if we have in person. So we kind of have to do it kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I looked through your IMDb recently, and I saw you have actually a bunch of stuff that actually came out last year. So even though you said, work was kind of slow, I guess a lot of stuff ended up releasing. That's super cool.
Yeah, I was like, let me go back to my IMDb and see what's happening. Sometimes I don't even keep up with what I do. Does that sound bad? Because I'm like moving on to the next thing. When I complete a project, I'm already have like, since then I've had 6 auditions and a booking maybe, hopefully. So I forget what comes out, but let me go to my page and see what I've got. Last year, so I did have You Wish. And that was that short film that ended up going to the International Cannes Division.
Nice.
That was fantastic. I got to play a girl or a young woman who has a very interesting job. She is actually a professional cuddler. So...
Yeah, I've heard that's been taken off in some areas. They're hiring professional cuddlers.
Yeah. I guess it's only a matter of time before they have a movie about it.
Part-time work, $70,000 a year, just doing part-time professional cuddling. I did my research to kind of get into the character, and yeah, $70,000 is what you can make just cuddling.
Wow,
that's just part-time.
That's a good side gig, damn. Now, I mean, with pandemic and everything in place, that kind of. I don't know. I mean, you can't really cuddle from 6 feet apart, so I don't know how they're doing these days. But besides that,
hopefully save your money. We actually shot that the week before the shutdown. How crazy is that?
Y'all wrapped right before the shutdown? That's cool.
Right, the week before. It was like 6 days before, and we had no idea what was going on. We had heard some things about productions being cautious, but making a cuddling movie, so.
And after everything shut down, how was it trying to find more projects after that, compared to like before? What was your approach to finding projects before and after pandemic?
I don't think my approach changed. I think it was just a lot of waiting game. Unfortunately, it drove me nuts because I hate sitting around doing nothing. So I would say all I did was just wait to hear from the industry. So I visited the SAG website quite a bit for news, social media. And I actually signed up for a lot of casting director and director workshops. They were having them for free because nobody really knew how to handle this thing. So they were being nice to actors. And they were saying, hey, join this Zoom meeting or come to our Facebook group. So I was staying connected with all of these people through technology. So I was taking workshops, and I was checking IMDb to see what was going on. And I would occasionally find an audition because I don't have an agent right now. I'm looking for an agent. But if I find my own work, I'm doing like Actors Access, IMDb, or LA Casting. So what I did is I just signed up for the alerts. And if I saw something good, I would submit for it. But for a good like 2 months, they had everything shut down. So I was just doing networkings.
Yeah, so
That's pretty much
it sounds like there was a lot of networking opportunities now, and probably even more than usual. If everything's like now virtual, you can
Yes.
attend more than you normally would.
Yes, and casting directors, they all have more time on their hands. So, yeah, they don't have to drive anywhere. So they can just sign into Instagram Live and hold an entire hour-long panel. And you've gained like more acting friends and networked with them. And sometimes I would go into their DMs and just leave a little note with my headshot and just be like, I appreciate you doing this, da 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 da. So, and they'll write back, and they're excited to hear from people because we're all lonely in our houses. So it's good to connect with others right now.
Absolutely. And you did say it took a little while, but the work started picking up. Is it picking up steadily? You're getting more and more work in the last couple of months, or has it been kind of like steady even?
Yeah, honestly, it feels like it's back to normal, except the only part that I miss is like in-person events. Because last year we were attending an event every Thursday night, people, and we had joined some groups, and they would show us like about town and where to go and the hot spots. So I do miss those opportunities because I met a really good agent that way. So when you don't have that in person, they don't really know you. You have to get your personality in front of them. But right now, I would say everything feels kind of normal, which is so bizarre. Like a year ago, you couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And now, I just put 3 auditions on tape. I had one come in this morning. And people are like, the industry is resilient, and we know how to come back from anything. This is one of those industries that blows my mind because we will figure it out
Well,
and make.
here in Texas, it never like completely went away because everything slowed down. But whenever they never completely like shut down because it's almost like there were productions happening, but everybody was trying to just wear masks, use a lot of hand sanitizer, and
Wow.
There were some parts where I didn't feel like 100% safe with it, so I would like still try and keep my distance from people, but you end up crowded in like small rooms for certain shoots. So I wasn't taking a lot of the jobs. I only took like a couple, like during
Yeah.
the whole like the peak of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the few productions would. Sorry.
Texas is a little more chill. I mean, being a Texas girl, I love my Texas. So
Yeah. Well,
it's
they
different.
just went like super chill as far as like taking away all mask mandates and like opening up 100%.
Yes, no, here we still double mask, and there will be. I heard from a casting director that in-person auditions, especially the first round, in LA, is going to be obsolete. Like that's not a thing anymore. I think casting is realizing that they save time and money, and it's easier just to audition them for stuff via Zoom or
Yeah, it seems like it'd be something to a place where you can save time and money, and then once you
Mhm.
get down to the people you really like, you can audition them in person to see what the
Right,
chemistry's like.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead and have them either Zoom, or if you want to meet them in person, hopefully eventually we'll be able to have a smaller meeting setting, that works for me. I'm okay with like a callback or the final chemistry test. I do better in those than the initial audition, which is also weird.
I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because that's the where you're the most uncertain at that point. So I guess it makes sense for you to be the most nervous at that point. Once you have a callback already, you kind of know, well, there's something they like about me. So I guess, at that point you can let your guard down a little bit, or at least that's the way I would kind of think about it.
Yeah, that's great. I've never broken it down and like figured out why.
That's just me thinking about it. Now, for me, the way I would solve those problems is obviously drinking, but being drunk on set every day is not really, it's kind of looked down upon. So I guess that's why I probably wouldn't make a good actor.
Oh man.
Hilarious.
So, what do you have in the works right now? Anything interesting you can talk about at the moment that you're working on these days?
Let me think. Oh, yes. I can't give too much away because I this it's in pre-production,
Hmm.
but I'm actually do you guys know Normita from Icon Studios in Dallas?
Norm-
That name sounds familiar. I
Is it?
can't say if I know.
I think it's Icon, but the one where he actually spells his EYE.
Oh, okay. So no.
No.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
never mind. But go on.
He had
Sorry.
good. She's like a talent agent, and she also dabbles in casting and helps actors, especially in the Texas market. And got referred to her for an audition called House of Dolls, and it's a slasher horror film. So it's definitely like an 80s, 90s horror film vibe. And I auditioned for it, and I ended up getting the role offer last month. So that will be shooting at the beginning of April, actually. They are bringing production here because they're going to do it in SAG, and they
Wow.
want to SAG rules. Yeah, so they're gonna shoot. They have locations out here that they're gonna use. So that's easy for me because I don't have to travel like the rest of the cast.
Wow, that's super interesting. An actress from Texas, a production studio from Texas, but you're all just going to California to shoot. That's pretty interesting.
So that will be that's in pre-production. We just had our first cast table read last Thursday, and everyone is great. So this is he did the casting did really well. And then I think so far I just wrapped um, a play film hybrid. So I think it's like the first of its kind. I've never done anything like this before. And I think I grew as an actress like exponentially.
Mhm.
But I went with Brad Keller. I got cast with Brad Keller. He's the director. And he did Inspector Mom. He works a lot with Lifetime. And it's called Ghost Party. And it's a like a dark comedy about ghosts who live in this mansion and I can talk to them. Me and my boyfriend were like seers of the night. But it's about me and my fiance, and it's about our night in this mansion and all the loony things that happen. So it reminded me of the Haunted Mansion from
Oh yeah.
Disney World. So
Oh
we
yeah.
did that. I memorized a 103-page script in 6 weeks, and we shot it from beginning to end. It was
Oh my god. That sounds like a lot. So you're saying it was basically kind of shot like a play, like in a big stage, or how? Could you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. They built a set that looks like the interior of the Haunted Mansion, and they built the outside spooky.
Hmm.
And it was in this giant warehouse. And we shot there Monday through Friday from like 9 a.m. to 6, just boom, boom, boom. And yeah, we did beginning to end. So they had 6 cameras and operators, and then they had a small crew because COVID. So everything was very small. And it was me and our cast, and yeah, we went through Act 1 in 3 days, and then we did Act 2 in 2 days and pickup shots and like green screen stuff. So it was a quite a challenge. But yeah, it was shot like a play. So we played outwards towards the audience,
Hmm.
towards each other. It was really weird.
So, any news on that? Like, do you know when that'll be released to the public where we could watch it? Because that sounds something like I actually really enjoy seeing.
Yes, the budget was great on it, so it's going to be the special effects team. I cannot wait. The producer showed me a working intro.
Hmm.
It blew my mind. It's so good. We're expecting it of October this year, so I'm hoping that we all know how things get. We have a goal, but sometimes that doesn't happen. But I was told during the fall this year, like Halloween time is ideal.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah, post production as always takes a while. We recently talked to one of our local filmmakers here who just made his very first feature film about the ghost lights of Marfa, Texas, and he's in post production right now, trying to get some funding to finish that up. And yeah, that's taken him a while. So post production is definitely something that can take quite a bit of
Yeah,
time.
you
Uh,
can shoot a in 6 weeks, but post production is like a year.
Nah. So,
People,
sorry, go ahead.
I was saying people don't understand that. They're like, when's the movie coming out? I'm like, as soon as, editing and all that. Because if you want it to look good, then post production is where you're going to spend your money.
Yeah. One time we were talking about like musicians, like they'll ask us to like do music videos for them, and sometimes they're like they don't understand that it takes time, or it could take a couple days to do the video the way they want to do it, and sometimes they just expect it's gonna take like an hour and we're done. I'm like, no, it's like impossible to do it.
Yeah. So, speaking of before COVID and stuff like that, since you did work out there before COVID, how would you compare kind of like basically the whole film scene in here, DFW, or I guess all of Texas compared to LA where you're at right now? I guess before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, you mean how they're different and the same?
Yeah.
Before the pandemic. I would say LA, there's definitely a different expectation of the actors. And I've worked on 3 projects out here, and the level of cohesiveness and professionalism is like unmatched. Like, I love Texas and I've loved who I've worked with, but out here you're going to meet some different people. You're going to meet a lot of personalities. So I would say they're not like different as in bad or good. Like LA has its differences and LA has its good, but so does Texas, like positive and negatives to it. But for me, I actually come alive in LA. This is
awesome.
I vibe in LA and I get high off the energy here. So I'm definitely happy that I relocated, but Texas is still, it's going to be my home, but you're going to meet and grow out here like you wouldn't in Texas.
That's pretty cool. You said you moved out there with your boyfriend who was also an actor. Have y'all gotten to work on anything together out there?
Actually we did. I met a photographer last year, and photographers sometimes are connected. So you might want to network, for fellow actors. Network with your photographer if you like him, if he's cool. I mean, if he's not, don't network with him. But if he is or they are, then network with them because they have connections. And he actually knew an indie like folk band, which I like folk music.
Nice.
They were needing 2 actors. They were needing an actress and an actor on the beach in Santa Monica to make their music video. So we shot last July out on the beach, and Michael had to like propose to me, fake propose, and it told the story of our love from not baby, but children all the way to like elder. It was really cute. So yeah, we did that together, but so far nothing like huge yet.
Gotcha, but that's pretty cool. That's awesome.
What was one of the biggest projects you've been on? I noticed that on your IMDb, Milos mentioned you were in Alita.
Oh, Alita.
Was Alita in Texas or in California?
It was shot in Texas. It was shot in Austin at Spiderwood Studios. They built the whole set. It was insane looking. But I actually, on that, I didn't have a huge role. It was I played one of the town people. Like, it was basically, I don't want to knock background, but it was like basically background.
Mm-hmm.
With like a little time shown in front of the camera, but I did not get bumped up to a speaking role as much as I wanted to. I was like, please. I mean, I barely saw Robert Rodriguez. He had his cowboy hat and cowboy shoes on, and he always hid up in the rafters of the set just to make sure that nobody bothered him.
Yeah, somebody else told me Robert was pretty like elusive. He keeps to himself.
He is. You wouldn't know unless you knew to look for him. He's there, but he's like, it's like Where's Waldo? So we had like hundreds of people in a scene, and then you would see him just kind of walking around in his cowboy hat, but you have to like look.
So you're finding by the hat, huh? That's funny.
Yeah, but that was very fun. I think I've only done a few background roles just to help, network with that, just to get on a set. And that was my first, I think that was my first background role. And I was like, whoa, big set. You see how it's run, the props used. And I mean, the girl, she had to, in one scene, she had to chew this food and spit it out. She had a designated person to catch the food.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, that guy.
So
I guess that would be the stand-in for Christoph Waltz, right?
I
Because she
guess.
spits out like an orange in the movie.
Yeah. So does that like have a designated title in the film world, like food catcher? Like, is there a specific title that guy has?
Probably just PA.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of PA job that is, but his job that day was to catch the discarded food that she chewed about 80 times, and then threw it out. And I was like, man.
Wow. But I mean, one cool thing about that movie, like you said, they built out all the sets, and I mean, how was it like just being there versus like seeing the actual movie just for the sets? I guess did it? I guess what I'm trying to say is like, how different did it look, the set from the actual movie? I don't know if you've seen the movie. Probably, I'm guessing, because you're in it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, my dad has it on DVD. So, you have to use your imagination on set.
Mhm.
I mean, what they can, but like the lead girl, she was wearing a black suit with the dots, like that motion capture, and she had a GoPro kind of attached to her, and it was real hot outside. It was like, I don't know, 90 or 100 degrees, and it's uncomfortable. And we're having to do one scene, 30 times, and you see the action happening around you, but it doesn't. You see all like the giant rigs and the cameras, and you don't quite know where they're going to stop and start the scene. So everything looks like jumbled, and then you see the movie, and you're like, wow, that was a flawless execution of the ship, just like. But when you see it when you're on set, it's like choppy and awkward, and they're catching the motion, and you're like, interesting. So I would say, yeah, you definitely have to use your imagination when you're on set, because they're gonna make it look real good, but like the coloring, the discoloration, because things out there the sun was glaring and it was hard to but then in the movie it looks so good. I'm like, wow. Fix it in post.
That's one thing I loved about that movie. From what I heard, that they use a lot of sets instead of like. I mean, I know of course they use a ton of blue screen and stuff, but just the fact that they built those sets, I think that's just super cool. That they actually went all the way that way.
Oh, it was so awesome. I mean, the scale of things was 30 times. It was massive. It was as giant as the buildings were, as giant as, I don't know, regular buildings outside, but. Built that, it's like hollow, so there were places where actors could walk in and there was nothing there but sheetrock or whatever they did with it. But it was so cool to have that built from the ground up. And there was a ship just kind of chilling there like Star Wars up on the side, and it had a big blue, like it was set in a blue box with like green everywhere, and the ship looked amazing. It's like, wow.
I would assume that was for probably that underwater scene, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we shot out of order, of course. I was on set for 2 days. They asked me to keep coming back, but I was like, no. To do featured work, I was not. I was getting more excited about watching the lead do her scenes than I was being my background role.
Of course, yeah.
So I said, that's where I belong. So I said, call me when I'm that girl, and then I'll be on set.
Hey, I mean, I've seen your work, and your time will absolutely come. I can definitely say that. Yeah.
Speaking of that, how did you get started into acting? Like, I know we're going a little backwards here, but.
I get asked that quite a bit, actually. That's so funny. I have my parents to thank. So I did a beauty pageant when I was like 10. And I didn't place, but I had an epic time doing the entertaining section where I like twirl a baton. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was so excited to be performing. And my parents were like, you know what? We have a little creative weirdo over here who is not like these other girls. You know, I didn't care about the dress or anything. I just wanted to like dance around to the music. So they started taking me to the mall on the weekends, and I would do like little teen or preteen catwalk shows, and they would play music. And I started taking acting workshops around Dallas, and then we took some headshots out in the middle of a park and submitted it to agencies, and I got picked up, and I started booking like regional commercials. And then I eventually booked a supporting role in a film on Amazon. It's like a comedic one. And then everything just kind of built from there. So yeah, I got started doing a beauty pageant, and then decided that I'm not one of those beauty pageant girls, but I like to entertain. I've been entertaining my family since I was like 5. You know, I'd sit on the fireplace, you know, and I'd put on shows, and man, I thought I was so cool.
Well,
So yeah, that's where I got started, just doing my little shows for people.
And was
Entertain.
and was Ghost Notes the first lead that you got, or did you? Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost Note is my first lead in a feature film, and that was I didn't think I booked it. So what happened was I auditioned in like April, and then I got a call back in June.
oh my god.
And then I did not hear back until the end of September or like the beginning of October. And they were like, Alicia, we would love to offer you the role of Mallory in Ghost Note if you're still available. And I was like, what is Ghost Note? Oh my gosh, I auditioned for this in April. So they had some production things to get worked out, like some things to iron out, and they were extremely behind. But they finally, like, the funding came through, the cast and crew meshed together, and all the stars fell in line. And I shot that from October to the end of November and had the best time of my life. I love that movie.
And how has your method of preparing for it changed from when you first landed that to like today, the way you prepare for a role?
Ooh. Well, I would say I'm a lot more confident now in like who I am. So I don't have to rely on like other people to be like, this is how what I can collaborate is what I'm trying to say. So I'm more able to look at a script and say, ooh, you know what? I want to take this element of me and mesh it into how I think the character is. And I would say I prepare more. I hate to say that, but I prepare. So I'm better. I memorize better, and I have a really great acting coach that I work with. And I would say that I did not have her when I first got Ghost Note. So I would say I'm just my brain is better. So I'm better at learning, better at memorizing, and I'm open to collaboration more than I was in Ghost Note. So that's kind of how I've changed for the better.
Just always improving, right? And
Yeah,
does your
too.
coach, she helps you whenever you land a new role? Does she help you like kind of flesh out the character, or like how does she assist?
Yeah, she does. She has a script breakdown that's very extensive. It takes hours to do. And I remember she taught me it when I booked Murder Made Me Famous. I played prom mom. Oh, shoot, what's her name? She had the baby in the bathroom at prom and ended up like murdering it in the bathroom and then lying about it. It was insane. So we took that script that they handed me, and we she calls it diagramming. So we script diagrammed for like 4 hours, and we took the character, we took it each page and broke it down line by line. And I would say that method it helps you memorize. You feel confident of the character. It's easy to refer to when you're in the scene because you have so many notes that when you go back and review for when you're on set, you're like, oh yeah, I've got that. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, she does a great script diagramming, and it's oof, good method.
How does the diagramming help you? Is it more like just fleshing out the characters and like the nuances in the lines, or is it like an overall like I get personality to the character?
Mm, I would say more about I'm really into getting into the mind of a character and having thoughts and not just saying a line. So with her script diagramming, it really helps you dig down into why they're saying this, their motivations, who we even break down the other characters. So we diagram the other person in the scene, what their motivations are, what they're thinking, my relationships. That's the fun part for me because I get bored. Like, yeah, I can take 5 pages and learn it and say it, but it's boring to me unless I actually feel what a character is feeling. Like, I just had an audition 2 days ago where it's a dark comedy and I'm supposed to be co-conspiring to murder my other boyfriend. So I have 2 boyfriends. I'm going to murder one of them. And it was like, I'm trying to get my current boyfriend to help me plot, like commit murder. And when I first started saying the lines, they kind of came out like, does she want to kill him? Does she not? And I worked with my coach and we got it to where, I mean, this audition, you could like see my thoughts in my eyes, what I was thinking about. Like, I was the character. It blew my mind. I was like, wow, we did it, guys. We did it. And I felt it. You know, I got angry. I got passionate. My energy was up. That's the fun for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. I've heard like actors talk about the way they get into a character. Sometimes doing having to do certain scenes over and over takes a toll on their body because they're like it becomes so
Yeah.
real to them that like the body doesn't know it's not real. So sometimes they'll end up with feeling it afterwards.
Oh shoot. Yeah, I can't wait to get to that. Not. Yeah, I love to read actor interviews, especially like those who are established higher than I am, because eventually I want to get to that place and I want to know what they're doing. And a lot of them seek therapy just to help stay grounded. But some of them seek therapy when they're developing a character so they can learn how to separate themselves and then put it into this box for this character, and it helps them do things organically but like healthy, in a healthy way.
Hmm.
Like I listened to a podcast where the actress who plays Billie Holiday in that series, that limited series, or is it a movie? It's a movie. I haven't seen it yet, but she talked about her method, and you know, she had to lose weight. She worked with a therapist to help really develop who Billie Holiday was. She really went there. And like Brie Larson, she locked herself in her apartment for 3 months, 4 months straight, and only talked on the phone with certain people just to keep her mind right. But like to help her feel isolated enough for Room, that movie Room that won her an Oscar. So I would say, yeah, I want to stay centered, but the development of a character, it's tricky because you can feel, it makes you feel like you're not, like you're outside of yourself, you know. You lose that part of you because you like being this other character.
And it's really interesting seeing the kind of the methodology that certain actors use. On one of the films we worked on, I think it was like in the last year, where basically you're inside of this guy's mind and you're seeing his basically he's kind of seeing himself, his past decisions, kind of going, basically kind of regretting basically his past decisions. There's a scene where it's him and his, I guess, ex-wife at this point, and they're both arguing. You know, they're both crying. You know, the actors did really great. What I found interesting is like they're both drawn from very different spaces to get the raw emotion. You know,
Yeah.
to where they need to be. I mean, the script wasn't fleshed out enough to where it could really get, you know, like this super deep into the character psychology. what I found interesting is one of the actors, she drew from past experiences, her own past traumas to kind of get emotional, whereas the other actor, he drew from, basically he created scenarios in his head, fake scenarios, to where he kind of drew that emotion from. So I found that really interesting that they both have really different methods to get around to basically kind of the same point.
Yeah, that's a great point. Some people don't like to go visit past experiences. They find that uncomfortable, but they're so good at creating fake experiences that it can seem real. And I'm on the opposite. I have to actually experience things. I'm more of like a, if I needed to go play like a dancer, kind of like that movie Hustler, whatever it was, with all those A-list celebs, and they were like hookers, or no, they were
the strippers. Yeah, the J Lo
yeah.
movie, right?
Yes,
I
I
don't remember.
would much prefer to actually spend a week at a strip club learning how to dance from a real hustler, versus like, oh, just creating a fake experience. Because for me, I have to live it in order to tell it, for the most part. I mean, I'm not going to go murder someone. Maybe interviewing, like going to a prison, making myself get into uncomfortable situations within safety, like supervised, but putting myself in other people's shoes and getting a lot of data on them, that really helps develop a character for me. So I can't just create a fake scenario, unfortunately. I really want to be in it so I can encompass all of it.
Gotcha. And I mean, that way you probably get it more secure and accurate, anyways.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would think, yeah, because you're actually drawing from real experiences that you kind of know more about. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Charlize Theron or those ladies. That's how, like for Monster, I don't know how she prepared for that, but I feel like she went to some dark places. I don't know if she just drew that from her like fake scenarios in her head, or if she actually experienced some things and put herself doing some research, or maybe something happened in her life. I'm not sure. But woo, those performances, they just grip you, and that's what I want to do.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure you'll make it there one day, just because, like I said, because the level of your work, and like you say, you're always trying to better yourself, and always trying to one up, get the better projects and everything. Now, I did see recently you started posting stuff about you working with that YouTuber Dhar Mann, right? Dharmann, whatever his name is.
Oh my gosh, yes, Dharmann Studios. Um, Funny story about that, because I I saw a casting call. It was like a cattle call from their head of casting in September of last year. See, this is that pandemic thing. I was
Mm-hmm.
scouring the pages, seeing what posts people were, like, hey, audition for this. And so I submitted an audition, and the casting director told me no, it's a no for that. And I said, okay, thanks, and didn't hear anything until she emailed me at the beginning of February, and she was like, hey, Alicia, I love your work and I've always rooted for you. I was like, what? I You have? And she was like, I have a role in mind for this new video we're doing. Could you put yourself on tape? And I was like, yeah, sure. So it was to play, I play young. So it was to play a 16-year-old, and I was supposed to be meeting and getting a book signed for Jamie Kern Lima. She is the CEO billionaire of It Cosmetics from QVC. And they wanted me to read for that. So I did my scene. I got I'm supposed to be crying because I'm meeting Jamie and I'm so excited. And then they called me back the next day. She called me and she goes, Alicia, we will pay you $100 today if you put yourself on tape to read for the younger version of Jamie Kern. And I said, oh, sure. Like, I played it off. I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Like, no big deal. I'll do it. Like, I'm getting paid to audition. What is this? I said, yeah, sure. I'll have that. So she sent me over the sides, and it was 3 pages, and it was supposed to be like the turning point of the entire script. And I played it. Me and my boyfriend came in. We rehearsed it for like an hour, and then we shot it. And then the next day, they offered me the role to play Jamie Lima. I was like,
Oh my
what
god.
is And I said, so I didn't want to ask until I booked it because I know it would mess with my head. But did Jamie like see my audition? They were like, yes, she did. She had to approve it. It's like, oh my gosh. Jamie Kern Lima chose me to play her. So she has rosacea, if you or your listeners know, but she's got skin problems. And her cosmetics company is founded on real beauty, and it's for real girls. So the makeup team gave me rosacea. So I had rosacea for 2 days, and it tripped me out. Like I thought I had rosacea.
Wow,
It
so the
was
makeup was that good? That's awesome.
It is so good. So I actually, speaking of Dhar Mann, I just messaged one of the crew members because I have not seen the video and I am super excited. By the way, Dhar Mann gets like millions of views on a video, millions. So if you just Google Dhar Mann, DHARMANN, you'll see he'll blow up everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I texted them and I said, hey, what's the status on the video? And the crew was like, yeah, we'll see. The thing is, this is their biggest video in the history of Dhar Mann, and it has to be perfect, especially because I'm sure Jamie has put in some stuff to make sure it's good. So there's a lot of pressure on them. So we're waiting, but as soon as it releases, I can send it to you guys, but I'm sure you'll see it because it'll be out there.
Yeah, his stuff always comes up on recommended on my videos. So every once in a while, I'll watch a few of his things, and they're definitely interesting.
Yes. Yeah, I learned about them last year here because he's big in LA, and his videos, they're really inspirational and they have a good lesson, but they're entertaining too. Like they have a good story. It's good quality production, and I like what they stand for. So I am very proud to have done that. It blew my mind. 4 days of we worked so hard on that. I think our last night I wrapped at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we had like an 18-hour day or something crazy like that. It was insane, but worth it. It was worth it. They gave me a nice sweatshirt. It says Dhar Mann fam, and or no, it says manifestation there. That's what it says, manifestation. So I'm part of the family now. I feel so special.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, it sounds like they really liked you, so hopefully that means we'll be seeing you in more of their stuff later. Hopefully.
Yes, I'm hoping. The casting director said she's looking forward to working with me in the future. So maybe Jamie will give me a call one day and just be like, hey girl, I need a favor. Can you be in this or come with me to like an appearance or something? That would be fantastic. I'd love to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got to rub shoulders with other people, like you said. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, for this last part, would you tell us about one of your favorite experiences before we wrap up?
Ooh, a favorite experience.
Yeah.
I would say one would be, can I have two experiences?
Sure.
Yeah.
My favorite experience it was Ghost Note. One of them was Ghost Note. Being a lead in that was so good. I worked with such great cast and crew. And the other one is the Dharmann Studios. That was so recent, but that was so exciting, and we put in a lot of work to do 24 pages of video dialogue, and I got to work with an amazing people. I got to bring Jamie to life and make her proud, and I got emotional when we wrapped. That's kind of how I gauge it. So when a project makes me sad, like real sad, all projects kind of feel like you're divorcing something, because when you leave, you're like a family. So every project is hard to leave. But I would say Ghost Note and Dhar Mann, just because I got to play Jamie. With Ghost Note, there was such funny times because, it's a horror movie. So I'm in a tank top and it's like 17 degrees outside in November. And the reason why it was my favorite experience shooting that movie is because it's a horror film. I've never done a horror film. And there's definitely a style to horror. and learning how to fall and scream and having all the fake blood and the props. And, you know, I got to have fake dirt on me. I didn't even know that was a thing, but there's fake dirt. And I actually got spooked by the demon who comes, you know, back from, I brought him back, and I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but I got spooked by him one night. It was dark upstairs and they hadn't started the scene. They were setting it up, and he was supposed to be hiding in the back room. And so I was across the hall, and I come out and he's standing in the doorway in full gear, like just standing there. And he's not trying to scare me, but he's just waiting. And I screamed so loud. I was like, ah! I did not expect that. So when you shoot a horror film, you know, when people are supposed to be in their costume, I don't know how the It people, oh my gosh, or like any film, you know, any horror film with the masks and the chainsaws, my poor brain, I would literally get scared shooting those movies. So yeah, Ghost Note, because of all that was my first horror, and learning how to shoot a horror film is an experience in itself. I think every actor should do a horror film, like a straight up horror, like slasher. And then playing Jamie was very special. So.
All right, well, that was that was very interesting. I've been wanting to watch Ghost Note. I think George has seen it before. I saw that I can probably find it on. Well, where can we find that? Because I do want to see it. What's the best way to watch it? What would you say?
I believe it's still on Amazon Video.
Cool, and I do have Prime. Awesome. So if y'all have Prime, if you want to check out Alicia's first ever feature film as in a horror feature film, it's Ghost Note, and super interesting. The trailer is something else. So I definitely can't wait to watch it. And of course, that Dhar Mann video is coming out.
Hey, would you like to plug any of your social media, anywhere people could find you?
Oh yeah. So my Instagram is Alicia R Underwood. So ALICIA letter R Underwood. And then you can like my page on Facebook. It's Alicia Underwood, because I have almost 6,000 friends on Facebook. So I was told that I'm going to have to either transition to a page where you can follow me, and like I can still talk to people through the app and stuff, but for Facebook I have to keep it to a certain amount of friends. So Facebook page would be better to like, and my Twitter is Alicia Ray U, RAE, so Alicia Ray U.
Okay. Any new projects coming out you'd like to plug?
What?
Any new projects you'd like to plug real quick that are coming out that people can see?
I think so far, Wolves, I shot Wolves in the summer of not last summer, the summer before. That'll be coming out. It was screened at a theater in Houston, Texas, and last year before the shutdown. And I think that should be coming out soon. I don't know if it's going to be streaming on what platform yet. I have to text the director, but that should be coming out for because it went through the film festivals. So that should be coming out for viewing to the public soon. That one's called Wolves. It's a high school thriller. And then I think we do, Insincere Twins. I did Insincere Twins a year or two ago. I think it was maybe 2 years ago. Wow. I play a twin. So that was my first ever getting to play an evil and a good twin. So not evil, but one's a bit, one's a small. And I got to play both. So that's on Amazon, I think, too. That one's Insincere Twins. So I have that and Wolves, I would say. That would be next. But definitely keep up with my IMDb, because all of that stuff it stays pretty current. I like to make sure that what's up there is legit and current.
Well, anyways, thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us. It's been a real pleasure. It's been real awesome catching up. I think I only worked with you on one project that I don't think it's really going to see the light of day again, because that was something else, that zombie film up in Oklahoma. Oh my God. But it was fun to work on. Let's just leave it.
Picture with the clapper. I remember that.
Yeah.
Potential. I had fun. See, that's the thing, is I don't discriminate. I like to be on every set, meet all these people, and you just never know,
I mean, I learned a lot from that production, so that's absolutely, absolutely one that's like I said, I like to learn from every experience, I guess is what I mean to say. But anyways,
Right.
thank you, Alicia, so much for being on this podcast. George, thank you for co-hosting. Adrian, the real MVP on the camera over there, my guy, thank you. As always, my name is Milos Bukarica. Thank you so much for listening to One Up Podcast, guys. Go ahead and check out Alicia on all of her social media that we'll have linked up on the screen right now. You can just basically go to any of these things. This is gonna come out as a video podcast and also on Spotify. In case y'all are watching on one platform or the other, y'all can do both. Anyways, guys, you will hear us next week, and bye bye.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Alicia.
having me.